Welcome to another Campo di Bello podcast. My name is Mark.
I'm Marianne, and we're here to share with you what's going on the farm this week and to talk a little bit about one of our favorite times of year.
Yeah, well, the good news is that it's starting to warm up. So things are starting to get nice and warm. The freeze-thaw cycle of March will soon start. It started already in February, so it's warmer now than it was last year at this time, I think.
Yes, except that the Iowa pump is still frozen. So we are taking buckets of water with the tractor over to the sheep, and that will probably stay that way for a few more weeks, if not longer.
Yeah, at least a few weeks. I don't think that thing's going to thaw out for the near future. So
no. So, and then this week is also Massimo's 16th birthday. So we've been celebrating all week for his birthday on Sunday.
Does he want you to announce that?
I don't care. I'm telling people my baby turned 16 this week. So yes, it's important.
Okay. Speaking of babies, what else happened?
So normally this time of year is our quiet, slow time of year because the weather's so iffy and everything. And we look forward to the warmer days and the warmer nights. And then we look forward to lambing season because it's closer to around early April, somewhere in April, I will say. Maybe late March sometime.
End of March or April.
Somewhere in there. However, last night we got a surprise.
Yeah, Massimo came running in the house.
While he was doing chores.
Yep.
And he didn't actually come in the house. He called me and he says, "Mom, get your stuff. There are 2 baby lambs and one of the moms has had her babies already." And as exciting as a time that is, it's also a time where either you're like, "Oh, crud, I don't have my stuff together," or you're like, "Okay, bring it on." Because once one starts, then most of them start. We only have 5 girls. Oh, we have 5 Southdowns that are girls, and we have 2 Katahdin that are girl ewes that we think are all pregnant, but we don't go through the process of having them ultrasound or anything else to determine exactly if they are pregnant and if they are when they will be having babies.
Right, but this is somebody's specific fault because we've learned over time that we need to separate the rams from the rest of the flock probably come August to September, because that's when the rams start getting
excited.
Love in the air.
Yeah, love is in the air on the farm, yeah.
Yeah, so we typically take the rams and put them behind the barn in their own pen and feed them water and hay, and they have a nice area to
We call
roam
it the
in.
boys' staycation.
Yeah, they can do that.
Yeah.
And the girls can go about their business. And then we put them in we get them together after Thanksgiving. So if we get them together after Thanksgiving, they should lamb probably sometime in late March, early April when it's warmer outside and they're outside. But this year, the girls went in to the barn a little bit early, but they were still separated from Nate. Nate is our ram. Jacques unfortunately died after many, many years last year. He was our very nice, good ram. Nate is
And when Mark says a ram, he's talking about an intact ram, meaning a breeder ram.
Hence the word ram.
No, because we have banded rams.
Well, they're not rams anymore.
What are they called then?
They get chopped.
Okay, but what's their name if they're not a ram? It's either a boy or a girl, right? Or is there a specific not a name for those that are not breeder rams?
Okay, so anyway,
yeah.
Nate did have some access to the barn last year, but it was separated by a nice, sturdy wooden gate.
They could see each other, but they couldn't be with each other. That was the best way we thought would be nice.
But Nate did not exhibit self-control last year.
No, he did not. So he jumped the fence.
He didn't jump the fence. He went through the fence. He went through a solid wood fence, and he butted it open and broke it in half to get to the girls.
Yeah.
And we found this out a little bit too late. And hence, now, begin lambing season because Nate did not have any self-control.
Exactly.
Jacques always exhibited self-control, but Nate does not.
And then, so right now we're separating the...
And I've been butted by Nate, and so is Massimo. Jacques never, ever, ever butted us.
I know.
So I was walking in the orchard last year this is my fault, with my back turned to half the herd, and all of a sudden this ram runs into my back at full speed, and we had a little conversation for a while, me and Nate.
Yeah,
But anyway.
Nate has not been a friendly ram on the farm. And he hasn't become docile through the years either. But so we have baby lambs, and they are adorable, as always. These two are two girls, and they're white with little black paws. So they're very, very cute. In terms of coloring, that is a recessant color on these sheep because the mom and the dad are both chocolate.
What's recessant?
Recessive? The recessive gene, instead of
recessive,
recessive gene versus the dominant gene. The mom and dad are both chocolate in color, and so the majority of them come out chocolate in color or little black lambs. And then the recessive gene, every once in a while we'll get a white lamb, but this time we got two cute little white lambs with black little paws on them.
Yeah, they looked like they were doing okay last night. It was cold in the barn, but then this morning one was actually up feeding, and it was doing absolutely fine. You can tell that they're actually feeding underneath the mom by the tail wagging. If the tail's wagging back and forth, they're happy. They're getting milk. They're getting colostrum. They're good. But the other one was down. It wasn't dead, but it was a little bit weak, and it would lift its head up if you'd move it, but it wasn't doing so well, and it wasn't feeding.
Yeah, so we're working with that one, and hopefully we can turn it around.
Yeah, so this morning we went out there, and we actually did what's called a rogaster tube, or a feeding tube. We put a feeding tube down into its esophagus and stomach and fed it lamb replacer. You guys went to the co-op and got some lamb replacer this morning.
It's powdered stuff that we use.
Yeah, it's powdered. Then you reconstitute it, and you warm it up a little bit.
Just like formula for babies.
And then you feed him through the tube through a syringe. Right. So he was actually sucking on the tube a little bit, so he had a good suck reflex.
It's a girl.
She, okay. So two girls.
It was my mistake. I made the mistake of calling them boys first, so now everybody's been calling them boys, but they were actually girls.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm not sure that one's going to make it because it started the head bobbing, moving thing, and that's never a good sign. But we'll see what happens. Massimo's going to go out in a little bit and check on them and do the second
Me too.
feeding.
That's why we got to go. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, we with the lambing season, we have come to the conclusion that less intervention is better for a variety of reasons. One of our past experiences is we've brought the lambs that don't look like they're doing well or that the moms are not accepting. If they end up having twins like this case, sometimes the mom will reject one of the twins. And so then we do what we call bottle feeding. And we bring them in, and with that milk replacement, we feed them quite a few times a day for a set number of days. And one of our more funnier experiences, and I don't remember the little lamb's name now. It was a boy, I know that much. But we kept him in the house for at least about a month and a half. And I had to run out to the store to get newborn baby diapers because he outgrew his box really fast and started walking around the house and then started peeing all over the place. And so I had to double diaper him.
Yeah, you had to double diaper him because it's not a simple thing.
The boys and girls,
male parts are separated, so you actually have to put two diapers on the thing.
Right.
So it was hopping around the house with two diapers of black little lamb.
Yes, in diapers for about a month and a half. And then we made the mistake of letting the lamb, I would say, bond with our dog Stilla. So then when we finally, the lamb was big enough, we felt that it could live on its own in the barn. We weaned it off of the milk and we brought it into the barn with the other sheep and the other lambs. The lamb thought it was a dog, so he didn't really want to be with the other lambs and play with them. He kept waiting for Stilla to come out and play with them, and he'd be at the end of the fence line looking for Stilla all the time, just wondering when she was going to come out and play with them and stuff like that. So I don't remember what happened to him, but those were one of our funnier experiences. But most of the time we can get him up and going in a couple days and then put him back in the barn with the sheep. And we leave them on milk replacement until they're old enough to like just start drinking water and eating hay and stuff like that. And I think that's about a month, 3 weeks to a month, don't you?
And then we started separating. We started looking for the moms who were pregnant, and we're separating them and actually bringing them into the birthing pens and waiting for them. But we've got 2 types of sheep right now. We've got the baby doll Southdown sheep, and we also have the Katahdin sheep. And the Katahdin sheep we just got last year, and they are just remarkably, I think, better than the Southdown because they're hair sheep, so you don't have to shear them on a yearly basis. They're bigger, and they just seem a lot more hardy to me. I don't know.
We'll see.
They seem to be better mothers.
We don't know. Well, we don't. They're good mothers. The ones we got are good mothers. But those were also 2 3-year-old sheep. So, or were they 4?
I don't remember.
They might have, between 2 and 4 years old. So they were a little bit more experienced mothers and took care of their baby. And they both had twins, and so took care of them well, and are doing great. And they do look like they're pregnant too.
Yeah,
so,
I think Nate got to them too. So this is going to be interesting to see what kind of cross comes out of that.
Yeah.
I don't see how Nate got up that high because the Katahdin are twice as tall as the baby doll, and Nate's a little stumpy.
We'll see what happens. But anyway, yes, so we're probably going to move those ewes into the mother pen. And now we've created a mother pen, and then we've created a non-pregnant ewe/ram pen. So we have 2 separate pens at the moment. And then we have lambing pens in the mother pen. So in a couple days, that new one with her babies will go out into the bigger mother pen so that the moms and the babies can bond together for at least a month before we get them out on grass, and then we'll join everybody together again.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But we are going to sell the Southdown flock this year and then buy a few more Katahdin and go straight Katahdin this year.
Yeah, we've had some trouble finding local lamb producers who can supply the quantity of lamb that we need for our dinners here on the farm. And we really do love the taste of lamb and would like to work more and cook more with lamb. So we decided to change the breed of lambs for something that we could actually use on the farm.
Yep.
And in the restaurant, I should say.
Yeah, so we're going to use them for meat, but they're also great lawnmowers and they fertilize.
We rotationally graze them throughout the whole
farm. So they mow the orchard, they mow the common pasture area. On the old CSA fields, Massimo and I have to redo the fence this year a little bit to put them back in there because they left the farm for a few hours last year that were kind of difficult to find, but they came back. But that's another story in itself.
Did that one come back to the barn on its own?
Yeah, they came back to the barn.
They just kind of hang out there and wait for us to open the gate again to let them back in, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mateo was out there. I think he went through the woods and he came back all full of burrs. Yeah. And he said, well, I can't find them. And we went back to the barn and there they were.
They were standing there.
Yep. I don't know how he got by them, but he did.
Yeah. So that is the excitement for the moment. So hopefully we have, 4 and we have 6 more ewes to see what will happen here in the next month or 2. Like I said, we don't do anything to get a general idea of when they're going to lamb. So we just look for the beautiful daily surprises that happen in the barn. And then we mourn the losses as well. So, and then I was talking to Mark before we went on air about how we started this. But do you remember how we started this whole sheep thing?
Oh, that was my midlife crisis when I was 40. So instead of buying a nice brand new sports car, I got 2 sheep. I wanted 2 sheep.
But for
2
what?
ewes.
For
my midlife crisis.
No, but was it for meat or was it for cheese was it for?
I don't know.
I don't remember what that one was for.
I had a craving for ewes.
You did, and so we got some from our neighbors, and Mark had our sheep kept wanting to go back to their original farm, so we had to chase them back with the kids and the dog. No, I don't even know if we had the dog at the time. Just the kids and you and me.
It's a story about a small trailer, me hugging a sheep and a guy named Willie. So if you want the full story,
right, then you need to go check out our web cookbook. We have Tales of the Farm. It's called Campo at Home, and it's off of our website under cookbook. And it's a web book, so it's not a hard copy. You can print off the PDF. But it is not a hard copy, but it has pictures in it and it has lots of other fun stories about the farm and how we got started. So do check that out if you can.
Yep. And anything more on the sheep?
I don't think so. I can't think of anything that's the fact that we bought the South Downs because they were lawnmowers. We were going to have them be lawnmowers in the vineyard, and then they were smarter than we were and ended up,
Yeah, that was another story for us going to South Dakota. So there's plenty.
Yeah, there's
more
a couple of stories that about our sheep and everything like that. And then we named them. We learned to name the breeder sheep, and so we've had some famous cooks or chefs as our sheep. We've had Jacques Papin, and we've had Julia Childs, and we have had Truffles, and you name it. We've had
I don't think Truffles is a chef.
No, not a chef, but it's a food. So yeah. So that's, I think, it. But do come out to the farm when we open for in-house dining. Hopefully that will be sometime later this spring or early summer. And come check out the sheep. And
that's another thing. We put them in back of the wine house. Occasionally there's a pasture that we created in back of the winery that you can actually come see the sheep. And you can see them. You can go walk around the farm and actually see them in their pastures in the orchard and so forth when the weather permits. So that's maybe a month or two off yet, but we'll get there.
Yeah, hopefully.
So the other thing that I thought of, I didn't mention it, but maybe we should mention it here. So our friends, our neighbors in Italy, Edika and Olivio, are actually selling their apartment. This is my family's apartment building in a small town called Soliera in Italy, in very northern Tuscany. And this couple actually owns the apartment below us. And it's beautiful. They've done a remarkable job remodeling it, but they actually bought a farm within 20 minutes of the town.
Maybe, yeah.
And so they've built their own home there, and they're trying to sell their apartment right below us in Italy in this small town. And it's beautiful. We'll see if I can post some pictures to maybe Facebook or Instagram. I'm not quite sure, but they're selling it. So if you guys if you know of anyone who's interested in buying some property out in Italy, this is probably the place for you. And I'll try to put some pictures up there for you.
Yep. And then next weekend's meal is we got quite a few people signed up for this weekend's meal.
Not really. We had
13. It was
13
nice.
out of 25. So
but still, it's half
extremely
the
low.
It's low, but it's still, we're getting up there. Better than the 5 from the weekend before. We've got a couple Italian classics, and then we're doing one of my favorite American dishes that Mark has recreated in his own style, and I like to call it deconstructed chicken pot pie. And so it's beautiful with a gorgeous French puff pastry and all the filling of what a traditional pot pie should have.
So it's essentially a chicken stew. So the actual pot pie filling is a stew, and you'll get that. But we made the laminated dough, the puff pastry, today, and it's a long process. This is not store-bought puff pastry. This is puff pastry made by hand. And we've froze it, and we'll unfreeze it next week, and then we'll actually make beautiful puff pastry triangles to go with the chicken stew. So it's a deconstructed pot pie, as you mentioned.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And then we're starting with that hearty Tuscan kale bean soup. And so, is this considered... No, the Italian wedding soup has little meatballs in it, right?
Yeah, there's no meatballs in this.
This one's a vegetarian, truly a vegetarian, right?
Yes.
Chicken, with the Tuscan kale bean soup, with kale from our farm and cannellini beans, I take it?
Yep, cannellini beans and kale.
And stuff. And so nice and hearty dish to start with, and then we're going to end with one of my favorites, Italian cream puffs, except that he's just told me that it won't be in my mother's style of cream puffs. It's going to be in his style of cream puffs. So we'll have to wait and see what he comes up with. My mom usually has the cream puffs. We usually have them on St. Joseph's Day or for Easter, and it's a ricotta filling kind of like cannoli filling type with the cream puffs. But Mark's shaking his head; he's not doing that. So I know it'll be something decadent and beautiful and tasty.
Probably more of a custard pastry cream
That's
filling
what
for
thinking.
The cream puff. So we'll see what happens with that. That's about it, because you have to get out in the barn and check on the lamb, and hopefully we'll have good news for you next week about the lambs. But who knows? We'll
more
see.
Good news if there's more lambs born. We'll see. Like I said, one of the things that we do is we just let Mother Nature take its course. So it's always a fun surprise when you walk in the barn during this time of year. So don't forget to check out our to-go store, and if you're hankering for a good glass of vermouth or some marinara or lasagna bolognese, otherwise sign up for next weekend's dinner, March 5th. I think we've got only 5 people signed up right now, so the more the merrier. It'll feed those comfort food cravings we're all having, and hopefully get us through until we can all be together in person. Everybody have a wonderful week, and we look forward to talking to you next week. Take care. Bye.
We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.